So in this video, we will cover what does component means and how do we use the components in our application. So to start that, I would like to show you, this is our application which is just installed. We just using, after we just start with the, we just install with the create React app. And I would like to show you with the inspect element here what is the component itself. As you see, we have a header here. This is the header is actually is a component. So this is also, there is a div class app. I will show you here directly. This is our application component itself. So as you might see, all of them is nicely added here, and we can add different components. Also, we can generate different components inside our application. What I mean by the component is the element we are showing, and this component means the elements we are showing in our application, like for example this function. So this is a functional component we are using directly here, and this function returns us these elements. So for example, if we want to create another component, I will show it directly here in a very short time. And there is also export default app. We just need to export our application component, functional component, to be able to use it in another places. If we don't export, it will not build, because as you see, it says has no default export in the source app. Let's take it back. Also, we will see much more clear now our application is running here. If you want to change your functional component name, what do you need to do? You just need to change your function name, app component, and you just need to export it as a app component. So you can either do it like this, and you can either do it export as a function here, app component. So what I would like to do, I will show you to convert this functional component to ES6 arrow function. So like this, we are making our component like this, and we can either export as a default here. It only matters where we use here like this. So we can either import it like that, or we can either import it like app component. So we can render our app component here directly. So if we delete it, we are already exporting the app component itself. Let me see where we have it. We have also in the app test.tsx, we need to change it here to app component. So we need to render this one as a app component itself. Alright, as you see, our application is running right now. We just change the way we are exporting. This is just the usage you can use. Also, we don't need to import the React to our components right now. We can just remove that, and our application is running right now. After the React 16, we don't need to use import React in every component we have. So let's make it in the old way. We will leave it into an arrow function, and we will say export default app component. In that sense, we need to change our test. These curly brackets needs to go, since we are default exporting it right now. also in the index. We just need to clear that, and we need to use it as a app itself. So let's make it like this. But you understand the differences right now and how we use it in our components. So it is very useful if you're working with different components. It will allow you to create your components much more easily. So let's create another functional component here, and I just want to create, this is the way I'm just showing you. We can move it to another file, but it is, yeah, let's do it in the another file. So I will just create here components folder. In this components folder, I am planning to create typography. I need to create that as a folder first. And here I just want to create h1.tsx. Alright, so let's create our component directly here. Const h1 component equals, and we will just return here h1 element, and we will say hello. So let's go to here, and we will say export default h1 component. All right, now we created our first component here. As you see, it is ready to be used, and rename this file to h1 component. All right. Let's make it h1 component. Alright, now ESLint error is gone, and we can use that h1 component into our index.tsx, sorry, app.tsx file. Instead of here, we will just call the h1 component here, and we will just close that one. We just need to import that, import h1 component, yeah, it is came now from the components typography h1 component, and we just use our first component in our application. As you see, it is changed to hello now. So let's go to our component one more time, and let's say hello to React crash course. All right, as you see, our component is directly changed. And this is the first component we have created right now. As you see, this is the element I was telling, like this, all of the elements can be a component itself. And if you want to use multiple of these components in your application, h1 component 3 times, as you see, all of them came along here. We just copy paste the component itself. We can of course create all of the files into the different components, but that was only the example purpose I would like to show you, and that's it. And as you see, this is the component. We can use that component in many places of this application. Since we have only the one component currently running in our application, but in the future we will use the same components in many places. So it will make our lives much more easier as a developer, We can just create one component and use it in many places. And it will definitely reduce the complexity of the application. It will reduce the time you need to spend to create multiple components for each element, and that's it. Thank you for watching this far, and I really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe, please, and stay tuned for the next episodes. Have a nice day and a happy coding.